Are there concerns when it comes to the financial system? Are there red flags, for instance? And are there organizations giving us warnings that we should be paying heed to? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Hey, thanks for joining me. Hope you are doing well. It is Thursday, June 12th. I'm Ric Bender, and welcome to Finance Lab. As we look at the financial system and the banking sector here in the U.S. and globally, are there red flags? Are there concerns and warnings that we should be paying heed to? Well, I do believe they exist, but let me say this. If you're familiar with me, know me, or have been around the channel long enough, you know that I'm not one to throw around the words collapse or crisis. There's plenty of YouTube content creators in the financial sector that always talk that the sky is falling. But I do want to share with you real warnings about the banking sector and the financial sector in general, not just here in the US, but globally. Now, who is this information coming from? Are they trusted? Do they have a track record? Well, they do. You see, I do like to aggregate from trusted resources. I like to share my own expertise and experience along with aggregated trusted resource, even if I don't particularly like the resource. Case in point is today's video. This organization is shouting out warnings concerning the global financial system. And I do believe we need to be paying heed to this. And I do believe this time that the central bankers are listening to this warning. Now, who's the warning coming from? It's coming from an organization known as the BIS, Bank for International Settlements. If you're unaware of this organization, they are the central bank of central bankers. They are extremely influential, and they do establish policy, monetary, and influence fiscal policy around the world. So what are they currently saying about the financial system? And what action should we be taking, or why maybe are we seeing the central banks taking the action that they are taking? I think we'll get all these answers. Let me begin by establishing some credibility with this organization. Now, I'm reading this book, Tower of Babel. If you want to know about the BIS, I suggest you pick it up. The shadowy history of the secret bank that runs the world. But this is about the BIS and how they warned central bankers around the world concerning the great financial crisis of 2007 and 8. The BIS started warning about the problems with excessive credit growth, excessive interconnectedness, and some of the other major frailties in the financial system back in 2003 or 4. Everybody says that nobody foresaw the 2007 and 8 crisis, or the GFC. That's not true, the author says. One organization that did was the BIS. Not in every detail, but in terms of warning that things were going wrong, that there was far too much debt on every sector's balance sheets. Sound familiar? That banks were in a very dangerous interconnected area with positions against each other and over-leveraged. A lot of that is in those rather dull-looking annual reports. So the BIS in 3 and 4 is warning the central bankers concerning excessive credit growth, excessive interconnectedness, and other frailties, such as public debt, so on and so forth. So that which We are told no one saw the 7 and 8 great financial crisis coming. That's not true. Some were paying attention, and some made a fortune. Maybe they were listening and taking heed to the warnings of the BIS. So they called it. They've got a track record. What are they saying about today? What warnings are they issuing right now? Why are central bankers adding more gold to their balance sheet? Why are they taking the steps they are? And why are we hearing all these warnings about the global financial system coming with a tremendous amount of risk? Well, let's turn to the BIS. The Bank for International Settlements has issued several warnings regarding risks to global financial stability in recent months. Here are some of the key concerns. 1. Risk from U.S. policy uncertainty. 2. Potential for a dollar scramble. 3. Rising public debt. 4. Risk from crypto and decentralized finance. And 5. Climate-related financial risks. So these warnings are going out from the central bank of central bankers, and central bankers are paying heed to this risk. The first, risk from U.S. policy uncertainty. The BIS has highlighted concerns about the potential negative impact of U.S. economic policies on global financial stability. Specific risks mentioned include trade uncertainty and tariffs, deregulation and weaker financial oversight, loose financial policies leading to rising debt levels, and the potential for diverging U.S. and global interest rates. These factors could contribute to increased market volatility, slower economic growth, and challenges for central banks in managing monetary policy. It's important to realize that not only do the central banks manage monetary policy, but their goal is also to manage fiscal policy. That is their main goal. They don't like the politicians. In fact, central bankers believe themselves to be much smarter than politicians, which more than likely they are. The next worry. Potential for a dollar scramble. Growing U.S. financial volatility could trigger a sudden demand for U.S. dollars, particularly from non-bank investors with significant off-balance sheet Forex or FX swap positions. A rapid unwinding of these swaps could lead to a sharp surge in the demand for U.S. currency. In 2007 and 8, the underlying problem, if you will, was liquidity. Out of nowhere came this liquidity issue, and it took everyone by surprise. Well, not those that were paying attention to the annual reports of the BIS. This is the same issue. This black swan that comes out of nowhere that nobody saw has just been identified. Rising public debt. I shared with you in a few videos, maybe a couple days ago, concerning consumer debt, all-time highs. It continues to increase. This is a problem when we see the defaults. The BIS has urged governments to address the relentless rise in public debt. This means that central bankers will tell the banks to tighten credit. There's too much credit. There's excessive credit. Warning that it could destabilize the global financial system and threaten monetary stability. Can you see now why the central banks are hoarding and increasing their gold holdings? Defaults on public debt could force central banks to finance government debt, potentially leading to rising inflation and currency depreciation. To move a little faster, the BIS is warning the central banks of cryptocurrency and decentralized finance, though these are combining with traditional finances. Crypto and DeFi is extremely volatile, and they can't control it. And of course, the climate risks. Physical events like floods and storms, things that affect the insurance claims, the cost to rebuild. These are the risks, and these are the warnings that are coming from the BIS, again, who called the 7 and 8 great financial crisis as early as 2003 and 4 because they could see excessive credit, excessive debt, problem on balance sheets. It's not unlike what we are seeing right now. I believe that we need to pay heed to the warnings that we're receiving in the financial system. This is why it's strongly urged to have a portion of your portfolio in a physical gold holding. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. If you like what we're doing, then consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and hit that notification bell, and you may want to share this video with a friend. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.